Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about a Grand Water Trine configuration in a natal chart. Now, a Grand Water Trine is an astrological configuration or aspect pattern that consists of 3 planets, points, all in water signs, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, or a combination of both as far as planets' points go, now that have 3 trines and form a triangular shaped formation. Now, people with this configuration may have very strong emotions, may have acute sensitivity, be very insightful and intuitive, and have a good feel for things. Now, this could give perhaps some talent or abilities as far as the intuitive side goes, and people that have this, they have to remember that as in any aspect pattern that's a grand trine or involves a lot of auspicious aspects or just aspects that are positive in general, the person must guard against complacency, which I think is really the main thing that could be a detriment about having a quote-unquote positive aspect pattern configuration or just positive aspects in general. So anyway, people, I'm going to go over to the monitor and we're going to look at legendary actor comedian Robin Williams' chart, because he has a Grand Water Trine in it. So hold on momentarily. Okay, people, see if we can get a good visual on this. I'm sorry about it being a little obscure, a little blurry maybe. But anyway, Robin Williams has a Grand Water Trine, and the one I'm going to look at is Scorpio right here, Scorpio rising. He has the moon in Pisces, and also Mars in Cancer. So, as many of you may know, Scorpio rising can have a very penetrating insight, be able to see through duplicity or superficial facades from others. We look at moon in Pisces can be very imaginative and may occasionally like to drift into their own fantasy world and escape from reality. Now, Mars in Cancer, he has this could indicate strong emotional energy, and being in the 8th house, maybe he uses this energy, or used it I should say, to help transform others. Now, to some degree, maybe he has the conjunction to Uranus in the 8th house, which could show perhaps through his ingenious maybe ingenuity in his comedy, I think is where we saw this with the Mars-Uranus conjunction. And we look at this, perhaps all these, we look at all the Grand Water Trine, these energies can be synchronized, the aspects and the positions. So we look at this, and the first aspect going to look at in this Grand Trine is the trine between Scorpio rising and the moon in Pisces. Now, having this, a person can very readily convey their emotions and feelings, and generally may not have much problem with this, and especially you have them in water signs. This, I would say, was rather easily for Robin. Now, he has this conjunction with the North Node in the moon, and the moon could be connected with the public. So perhaps this is a placement where we can say, well, he was perhaps destined to be connected with the public in some manner, and can give some notoriety and popularity. I'm not saying everybody that has this conjunction will be in the public eye, but this definitely increases that propensity for it. So the next aspect in this
look at the moon making the trine to Mars in Cancer. Now, this could indicate somebody that shows a lot of being able to put a lot of energy into their emotions, and can do this in do this in a very productive manner, and which is obviously it's a very good aspect, being the fact that it is a trine, and people that have this can channel perhaps their aggressive energies, doing this through emotions, but not to a point where these emotions are going to go out of control in any way. So this is really very positive aspect as far as this moon and this moon making the trine to Mars. And what I want to backtrack before, when I was talking about this moon and this conjunction with the North Node in the 4th house, can be also tied in not just to being in the public, but something that is associated with the 4th house, like emotional security. So this could be something that made Robin feel very secure emotionally, was getting out, maybe perhaps receiving this notoriety in connection in being in the public eye with this connection with the moon and conjunct the North Node. Now, last but not least, we have the trine between Mars and the ascendant in Scorpio. Now, this could indicate a person that can be can show a lot of assertiveness and outspokenness projected through their personality, but can do so in a way where they don't come across as being recalcitrant, belligerent, or abrasive, where this directness can be very respected by others. And this is something, I think, where we have this conjunction here with Mars and Uranus, that this outspokenness can not just be it's going to come across in a direct, straightforward manner, but also will be somewhat have a unpredictable maybe side to it. And I think we saw this, the 8th house is connected. We look at that as the house that's associated with sex and Scorpio. Now, having this in this 8th house, I think we saw perhaps when Robin Williams would occasionally make jokes regarding sex, it would be really kind of like really strong, really unpredictable, kind of creative, ingenious way he went about this. And I think a lot of this was attributed to having Uranus conjunct Mars in the 8th house and working with Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising can be very quick-witted as far as their speech goes, and really can respond without or talk without a lot of hesitation. And I think we saw this being very quick, being very fast in speech. We saw this work a lot with as far as his jokes, which could have been some of them pertaining to sex. And I think he had something one time about being on Twitter, saying something to I don't remember the precise joke, but something to the effect, is it really wrong to tweet while I'm on Twitter? And he had just some funny, I guess you could say, little acronyms and abbreviations. And I think we saw a lot of that with this Scorpio being very rapid in speech, and this conjunction here in the 8th house with Mars and Uranus. So, and this all worked together. I think he was very instinctive, and he just seemed to know instinctively what the public wanted in terms of as far as especially his comedic way about him, and he knew what to say really very consistently at the right times, which he would get the appeal from others and from the public. And I think a lot of this has to do with having this Grand Water Trine, which made him very instinctive, I thought very insightful, and just knew instinctively what to say at the time. He also has, as you can see, he has Mercury conjunct his MC here, and obviously we saw that voluble tongue. As far as his public image goes, it seemed like there were times, even for Scorpio rising especially, he would be very loquacious when we'd see him in public, and didn't seem like he was at a loss for words too much. So anyway, people, let me go back to my spot. I'll be right back with you.
Well, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for having the Grand Water Trine in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about having a Grand Earth Trine in a natal horoscope. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.